If you've been looking for a luxury home anywhere in Collin County over the last few years, then you know prices have gone through the roof. It started with Frisco, and then when that got too expensive, everyone moved out to Prosper. When that got too expensive, everyone went to Salina. As that got too expensive, now everyone's moving to Melissa. The reason for this, of course, is that everyone wants to be in one of these top-rated school districts. And I know that many of you have wanted to be in these top-rated school districts, but the median home price in Prosper right now is nearly $900,000. Not to mention the tax rate in many Prosper communities is very high, around 2.3%, making it even less affordable. But thanks to this brand new community we'll be touring today, you can get the top-rated Prosper schools, a luxury home, and a low tax rate, all in the city that was just named the #1 real estate market in the entire country by Wallet Hub. And it also happens to be one of the safest cities in the country, and the homes here are starting in just the low 500,000s. Now, obviously that's going to be for a smaller single-story home around 1,600 square feet on a 40-foot lot. Realistically, most of you will be buying in the mid-600,000s for something around 2,500 square feet. Then on the high end, you'll have these beautiful large Toll Brothers homes on 60 and 70-foot lots, most of which you'll be able to build from $800K to $1 million. And you can build as large as 4,940 square feet. So there are options for every budget here. This community is called Aster Park. It's here in McKinney, Texas, and it just opened up a little over a month ago. So this community just began phase 1, and the reason that's important is from the minute a community opens and starts selling, immediately the builders are trying to push prices up. So if you're able to buy a home in phase 1, you're usually buying at the lowest price by far. By the time they get to the final phase, prices will be significantly higher than when you bought, so there's some great built-in appreciation if you're able to buy in a phase 1 like this. And for amenities, it's going to have a state-of-the-art clubhouse, a resort-style swimming pool. It's going to have big walking trails all throughout this 414-acre development. But the best part about this community is the location. It's located directly in the middle of McKinney and Prosper. So it's only 10 miles to all the shops and restaurants of historic downtown McKinney. It would only be about a 30-minute commute into the Plano Legacy West area where all the companies are headquartered. And it's actually going to be only a 19-minute drive to the brand new Universal Studios theme park in Frisco, Texas. Again, all of this, and you're probably only going to be spending somewhere in the mid-600,000s with a lower tax rate than most of Prosper. So in today's video, we're going to be touring some of the model homes. There's not much to see in the community yet because it did just start construction. Then I'm going to head back to the office where we're going to discuss the incentives here and how much you would need to make to afford one of these beautiful homes. Welcome, and if you're new to the channel, my name is Michael. I own a local real estate brokerage here in the Dallas area. And if you're looking to buy or sell in the Dallas area, whether it's next week or next year, I'd love to connect. I've helped every one of these yellow dots find their little piece of Texas, and I'd love to help you too. Just call, text, or shoot me an email. All that info is in the description below. Let's get started with these home tours. I almost forgot to mention that this is actually going to be a gated community. Each phase is going to have its own gate, and gated communities are actually pretty rare when it comes to new construction here in DFW. Okay, starting out, the first home we're touring is the top of the line for this community. This is the Toll Brothers Executive Collection. The smallest plan in the Executive Collection is a single-story home that starts at 3,089 square feet for $843K. But remember, you should always plan on spending another 10% in design center upgrades for these homes. So that would put the smallest plan at around $927K. However, right now they're giving $35K off design center upgrades. Plus, they'll give you an additional $10,000 towards closing for using their lender. So to buy the smallest plan of the Executive Collection, plan on spending about $892,000 with today's incentives. Then at the other end, the largest executive plan is the Todd plan, which starts at $1.016 million for 4,940 square feet. So again, after design center and incentives, plan to spend close to $1,080,000. But now let's move on to the actual home you're looking at. This plan is called Bolsins. It starts at 3,991 square feet as a 4-bed, 4.5 bath with an office, game room, media room, and comes standard with a 3-car tandem garage. And the starting price is $955,000. So again, after upgrades and incentives, plan on spending around $1.015 million. And as you'll see in this walkthrough, the model they built here is completely maxed out and has an extra half bath plus an extra full bed and bathroom upstairs. So right out the gate, you can see that even at the top end of this community, you're still pretty close to $1 million for an enormous brand new luxury home in a top-rated school district with low taxes in a gated community. But as I mentioned before, most of you are still going to be closer to the mid-600,000s for a house around 2,500 square feet, and you'll get to see that home I'm talking about here in a few minutes. It is really incredible for the price, so stay tuned because I'm saving the best for last. Now I'm going to let you finish up this tour, and I'll be back in a few minutes to show you the next one. All right, now we're moving on to the Toll Brothers Select Collection, and actually I prefer this model over the last one. The Select Collection features base home sizes from 3,079 square feet up to 3,550 square feet, although as usual, this model home you're looking at has been maxed out and is actually about 3,700 square feet. But the lowest price plan here is the Cora, which is a single story, has 3,098 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 3 full bathrooms, formal dining room, game room, and comes standard with a 3-car garage, starting at just $774,000. So about the same size as the smallest executive plan, but starts about $69,000 less. So after design center and incentives, you can plan on spending around $815,000 for the smallest plan in the Toll Brothers Select Collection. Then at the very top of the Select Collection is the maxed out Lavon plan you're seeing in this video. The base price for one of these with 5 bedrooms, 4.5 bathrooms, game room, office, 3-car garage starts at just $856,000, which means you could build a pretty nice one of these after upgrades and incentives for just $906,000. And I just want to remind you, if these plans are out of your budget, don't worry, we're going to work our way down to some much more affordable plans. All right, I'll let you finish up this tour and I'll be back in a minute for the next one. right, the next builder we have is Shaddock Homes. Their smallest plan is the Barton plan, which starts at $654,000 for a single-story, 3-bed, 2-bath, 2,091 square foot home. Then at the top end, you've got the model home that we're touring now, which is the Carmine plan, which starts at 3,431 square feet as a 4-bed, 3 full bath with an office, media room, game room, 2-car garage, and starts at just $765,000. But of course, if you were to build, you'll want to add a minimum of 10% on top of that, putting you at about $842,000. And then the model you're looking at, of course, is maxed out and has an extra full bedroom and bathroom upstairs, which gives it an extra 331 square feet for a total of 3,764 square feet. I'm a really big fan of this one, and honestly, if I had to choose between this one and the previous Toll Brothers one we just toured, I would have a very hard time choosing. They're both right around the same price and size, and I'm a huge fan of both. And as you've probably noticed, a couple of these models are on these beautiful creek lots. The sooner you get into a community, the more choices you'll have for the lots. If you wait until one of the later phases, it's likely that a lot of those really nice best lots are already taken. So if you want a prime lot, don't wait. All right, now I'll let you finish up this tour and I'll be back in a minute. Up next, we have the Highland Homes 50-foot series, and this is the only builder here right now offering low mortgage rates. Right now, they're offering a 3.75% for the first year and a 4.75% fixed for years 2 through 30, and we'll talk more about this when we get to the financing section here in a bit. And the smallest plan here would be the Amberley, which starts as a 4-bed, 2-bath at 2,055 square feet for $662K. After your 10% upgrades, that's more like $728K. Then at the top end, you've got the model home we're touring right now, which is a Cambridge plan and has a base price of about $752,000 for a 4-bed, 4-bath with a media room and a game room at 2,960 square feet. But of course, after our 10% upgrades, that gets us to about $827,000. And you may have already noticed, but it almost never makes sense to build the smallest plan because for just a little bit more money, you can get way more house. The smallest plans usually have the worst price per square foot. But this model, as usual, is maxed out and has a 5th bedroom and a 4th bathroom for a total of 3,221 square feet. And considering both this home and the Shaddock home we just toured have about the same starting price, comparing these homes at about $825K each, this one has the super low mortgage rate of 3.75 for the first year and 4.75 for the rest of the loan, which means compared to the Shaddock home at the market rate of 6.5%, this home for the first year would be about $1,325 a month less expensive. Then year 2 through 30, you'll still be saving about $866 a month. So even though they're about the same price of house, this one is actually way less expensive because of that mortgage rate incentive. And make sure to keep watching until the next tour because that's the Highland plan that I keep telling you about that I think most of you will end up in around 2,500 square feet. I think it's a lot of value with both the price and the incentives on that one. All right, I'll let you finish up this tour and I'll be back in a minute with that final home. Okay, now we're moving on to our final tour of the day. This is the Highland Homes 40-foot product. The smallest plan they offer on the 40-foot lots is just 1,597 square feet for a 3-bed, 2-bath, 2-car garage, and the base price is about $517,000. And then the largest plan they offer is the Belmont, which we're touring now. It has 4 beds, 3 full baths, an office, game room, and is 2,454 square feet and has a base price of $583,990. So once we add our 10% for design center upgrades, you're looking at about $642,000 for one of these. Like I've been saying, it's likely you're going to end up in the mid 600s, around 2,500 square feet. Now, I'm not sure how exactly they did it, but they packed a ton of house into this square footage, and it actually doesn't really feel narrow or small anywhere. It's almost like the bigger one actually felt more narrow. So I really, really like this plan, and I think if you were to go and walk it, I think you would be blown away. And I also do need to mention that both MI Homes and William Ryan Homes will be building in this community, but they haven't opened their models yet, so I wasn't able to go and tour them. All right, I'm going to let you finish up this home tour, and then I'll be back to talk numbers here in a bit, and and we're going to look at exactly how much money you would need to make to afford each one of these beautiful homes. So I'll see you in a minute. Okay, sorry for the terrible lighting in this little room. It's the only place I could find that was quiet right now. But now it's time for numbers. Let's figure out how much money you would need to make to afford each of these beautiful homes. So for these homes, the first few, I'm going to be assuming you're putting 5% down because Highland Homes is the lower price. They're giving that 4.75 for years 2 through 30. I'm assuming a 1.65 tax rate. That's your 1.9 tax rate after your homestead exemption should come down somewhere around 1.65. 0.4 is the insurance multiplier that I use for new construction. I found it's pretty accurate. Your HOA is $1,650, and then your tax rate should be around 22% for the incomes that we're talking about. So starting at the very bottom end, that was the Highland Homes Grayton plan. So to get to that lowest price home is going to be about $569K. I can tell you because I've looked at the numbers, that's going to take about $180K of household income. That's you and your spouse. If we go over to our dashboard, that puts us at the traditional financial comfort level, which is the 28-36 rule, if you've ever heard of it. It says you don't want to spend more than 28% of your gross or 36% of your net income on a mortgage. It comes out to about $4,200 a month and will get you to $569,000, which is exactly where we expect that lowest price would be. So for all of these, I'm going to be looking at the salary you'd need to reach the traditional financial comfort level. But what you need to know is lenders, if you don't have any other debt, they'll probably approve you all the way up to assertive, which means on a $180K salary, they would approve you up to about $926,000. But obviously, I don't recommend going there at all. But if you just truly have a grasp on your finances and you don't spend money on anything at all and you want to buy the most expensive house you can, this is probably what they would lend you to. That would be $6,750 a month. Ideally, you'll be aiming for the traditional, but realistically, most people who have been buying in the last few years have been much closer to moderate. In fact, actually 36, I believe we're up to 38.5% of gross income is where first-time home buyers have been. So we're actually slightly above moderate is where first-time home buyers are at on average right now. So if you have a good grasp on your finances and you think you could handle this, then you could go up to 737. But ideally, you're going to be doing 569, which is the 28-36 rule. Okay, so that's for the lowest house. Then a step up from that would be that really nice Highland 2454 square foot plan that we toured. After upgrades, that's going to end around $645K. So the closest number I got to was about $205,000. $205,000 household income gets us to about $650,000, which we needed to be at $645,000. $205,000 income gets us to about $651,000. Of course, you would get approved over $1 million on this salary. First-time home buyers are getting to about $842,000. Ideally, you would have this salary just to get to that $650,000. that would be a much more comfortable place for a lot of you. And that's why I'm saying I know most of you are going to end up in a plan like that, because I know a lot of you watching have a combined household income of at least $205,000. So for Shaddock homes, the midpoint was about 720 to 842K was their range. So the midpoint would be about 781K, which would take about 233,000 of household income at a 6.5 rate, 20% down. Yes, so we were shooting for 781K. That 233K household income gets us to 783K on our traditional. If you wanted to move up to moderate, you could actually get over $1 million there. And of course you would be approved up to about 1.27. That would be $87.38 a month. I wouldn't go anywhere near there. You'll be way more comfortable at $54.37. So again, that's only 233,000 of household income. So that would get you both the Shaddock home we toured as well as the Toll Brothers Select plan that we toured. So 233K can get you a lot of house in this community. After that, we're going to move up to the very top end of those Toll Brothers executives as well as some of the selects. They went from about 850K to nearly 1.1 million. So the midpoint there was about 975K. So there we go to get to about 980K, which the middle was about 975. This would take $290,000 of household income right there. 290,000. Let's go back and check the dashboard. With 290,000 of income, you could push up to the moderate of 1.266 if you don't have other debts. You would get approved for nearly 1.6 million. Again, that would be insane. So there you have it. A lot of those even executive level Toll Brothers homes at a 290,000 household income, you're going to be able to afford those. But then if we go to the very, very top, the most expensive plan, and we add our 10%, that gets us to about 1.08 million. So to get to 1.08 million comfortably, you would need $320,000 of household income, 20% down at a 6.5% rate. That gets you to 1.08 million with a traditional financial comfort level, which again, less than either 28% of your gross or 36% of your net income. So there you have it. At $320K with no other debts, you can afford the absolute best home in this neighborhood. Then at the bottom end, $180K would be plenty to afford the smaller plan. Most of you are going to be buying with just $205K household income, that 2,500 square foot plan. That is plenty of house for most people. I mean, if you walk it, you're going to be blown away. So that's it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're interested in touring any of these plans or want more info, just call, text, or shoot me an email. All of that is in the description below. I would love to talk to you. I'd love to help you find your dream home. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.